I'm an artist whose primary medium is drawing. I've drawn my whole life, but when I was in my early 20s, I discovered a vocabulary of shapes and geometry that I still use to this day. It was while looking at a page of shape note sheet music, which is musical notation simplified into basic geometric shapes, that something clicked for me. I realized I could write with geometry. I bought my first architectural stencil, which is a small piece of metal or plastic with circles, triangles, and squares in ascending sizes. And I held in my hand a new alphabet. I started by making small compositions in an old ledger book that I had found, and later began cutting the pages from the books to make compositions of 4, 12, 20, eventually 50 pages, as in this drawing. This piece is 7 feet by 12 feet and took roughly 5 months to complete. So drawing really took on a new physicality. And while I was limiting myself with the use of stencils, what opened up to me was the kaleidoscopic number of variations possible in pushing up against the boundaries of these constraints. I felt like I had discovered a new language and a new way of writing. Drawing, much like handwriting, is usually considered a step on the way to a more finished product. And I think for that reason, they're both currently at risk of extinction. Most adults never draw. We've already abandoned the art of penmanship and cursive, and I wonder what will happen when children stop learning handwriting altogether. When I was a kid, I often wondered what my adult handwriting would look like. I think because I believed it to be a sort of primary self-portrait. How many of you feel a twinge of discomfort at your own handwriting? Well, I'd like to suggest an idea here today, which is that the disconnection from our hands, as experienced in the loss of drawing and handwriting, is a far greater loss than we are currently aware of. We have unknowingly sacrificed something essential, a part of our humanity, available only through the intelligence of our hands. Drawing has taught me to see. And it has taught me a quality of attention unparalleled to most other states of mind. It has taught me to think and express myself with my hands. What I mean by that is entering into the state where I can set aside my verbal judgments and access a realm of being and of knowing. Thinking with my hands is actually a form of deep listening. Listening to the inherent wisdom in my body, in my subconscious, in my materials, and really in the fields of information all around me. In 2009, I received a Fulbright grant to travel and study and draw in India for 9 months. It was an experience that changed the course of my life. But several months into the trip, I reached an impasse in my work, and I had the looming deadline of a show ahead of me. So one night, I placed a small, abstract geometric drawing in the center of my room, one similar to this. And I surrounded it by about 20 other blank pages, leaving only a narrow pathway to walk around its edge. Suddenly, I saw in that geometry what appeared to be a pair of lungs. And I continued to draw out the rest of the body and a second figure. I found that the symmetry was generative and generous. The level of detail was laborious and slowed the process of drawing down. But that downshift in speed is what opened the door for information and inspiration to step through. It was like the difference between walking and driving through a landscape. Suddenly, there was so much more that I could see. Drawing with stencils invites a flow of energy that does not come from my brain. It passes through me and into my work. I've come to recognize this as a feeling of co-creating, of engaging in a relationship with an energy outside of myself. This feeling of co-creating is the intoxicating magic of making things. In 2016, I had an exhibit at the Drawing Center in Soho, New York. And I wanted to give myself the challenge of expanding my drawings so that they really became the architecture of the space itself. I wanted to build structures and create an experience that invited people to walk in and sit with the work, to really take time. So I designed and built an oval room and filled it with a 6-foot by 30-foot long drawing made here in Bali. I invited Aaron Taylor Kuffner, a musician and artist, to install his robotic gamelons on the outside walls of the museum, and he composed music for the work. I found that the tones and vibrations of the instruments seemed to echo and compound the vibrations of the drawings. It was as though a visual resonance and harmony was brought to life. So here's what I've learned from drawing so far. I draw with my hands, not my brain. My limitations are some of my best teachers. I'm interested in depicting relationships and discovering the unexpected forms born of those relationships. My drawings are an exploration of architecture, of doorways and portals, of gardens and meditative spaces, of energetic and subtle bodies, and of healing and transformation. I'm interested in attempting to draw the invisible, in capturing this humming vibration that is embedded in the solidity of stillness. In each drawing, there is a process of learning and discovery, and then a forgetting. It's almost like an amnesia that rolls in like a fog. Each drawing develops differently. Occasionally, it is a straight shot from beginning to end with very little doubt. And other drawings are full of erasure and detours. I've learned some methods to employ when I'm feeling stuck in the work, and maybe they also apply to other areas in life as well. 1, look at the work upside down for new perspective. 2, reorganize the pages to see if there is not perhaps an entirely different story inside of the one you first thought you saw. 3, correcting the color balance can be like trying to remove too much salt from a soup. The only way is to make that soup bigger. And 4, look at the work right before going to bed while brushing your teeth. That is when the most intuitive solutions usually present themselves. But in addition to the known methods, there are the unknown elements in the creative process, such as what was the intention when I began the work? What was the quality of focus each and every day? And did I trust my hand? I've been living in Bali for 5 years now, but it was only last year while driving around my neighborhood in Tampaxiring that I was struck by the beauty of a massive bamboo kite. I realized that the kite was not so dissimilar from my own drawings. At their most essential, my drawings are searching for that same tensile balance of geometry so elegantly drawn in a kite. Last year, after my beautiful son was born, it wasn't possible to spend nearly so many hours in the studio. So I began experimenting with some new materials that would allow me to make smaller drawings and then collaborate with Balinese artisans to build them. I drew some simple symmetries reminiscent of instruments or insects and found a local kite maker to help me build them. We built a first batch and then a few more. I'm still exploring the possibilities of building bamboo line drawings. And I'm still very much learning this new dance of motherhood. I've been drawing long enough now to recognize some patterns in my work and to trust in this process of remembering and forgetting. Showing up in the studio every day is necessary. Nothing is made in a grand gesture of brilliance. Rather, it is the slow accumulation of attention each and every day that produces something greater than yourself. People often ask me or say to me, "You must have so much patience with the work that you do," which is funny because I'm not actually patient at all. It's not patience that drives me to spend 300 hours on a drawing and then erase it and start again. It is love. Love for drawing, love for the feeling of exploration and discovery, and love for the act of creation. So for those of you who are thinking, that sounds nice for her, but I can't draw to save my life, I will say this. Drawing, just like handwriting, is a perfectly learnable skill. Anyone with the desire can do it. There is a shift in perception and a strengthening of the hand-eye coordination that needs to happen, but truly anyone can do it. You do not need to become a professional artist spending your days alone in the studio. Draw for your own pleasure. Draw the things you love and want to remember. Draw to see and feel something more deeply. Learning to draw and think with your hands is a gift, and I think you will find the reward is far greater than you ever imagined. Thank you.